That special guest is Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, who joins us, of course, on the 2-year anniversary of the World Health Organization declaring the coronavirus a pandemic. Albert, good morning. Thanks for being with us. This is a big milestone. To you, what's the biggest question on your mind right now, 2 years into this pandemic?
I think the biggest question of all of us is how to stay ahead of the virus. This has been proven to be a virus that it is very smart, knows how to mutate, knows how to create opportunities for his survival, and science must win. So we need to stay ahead of it constantly, and this is what we plan to do.
Well, one of the ways I think you've talked about doing that is continuing to test your vaccine, and you've mentioned you are close to filing with the FDA for a 4th dose. Tell us about where the latest on that stands, what the data show.
I think we are going to submit to FDA a significant package of data about the need for a 4th dose, and they need to make their own conclusions, of course, and then CDC also to see it. Clearly, there is a need in an environment of Omicron to boost the immune response. I don't think that we would be a need in Delta. I was thinking always that after the 3rd dose, we will need annual revaccinations. With Omicron, the situation is more challenging, so we may need a 4th dose. But that's something that FDA needs to decide and the CDC needs to recommend. The same is with every other country. Many countries already started recommending a 4th dose, and we will see how the authorities here will think about it.
Do the data that you have suggest a 4th dose may be needed for everybody, or perhaps just certain populations, the elderly or more vulnerable?
I think the data will show that the immune protection against Omicron is very good after 3 doses when it comes against hospitalization or deaths. Not as good, but pretty good also against infections. But hospitalization and deaths is very good, the 3rd dose, but doesn't last long. After 3-4 months, starts waning. That's Omicron RV. And clearly, the risk after when you have waning immune responses is higher for people that they have high age, they are older, or they have underlying conditions, but the immune responses are waning for all.
I see. One of the things you've also talked about is testing the vaccine and developing new versions of the vaccine to better fight variants. What can you tell us about that, both on the near term in terms of Omicron specifically, whether that'll get updated potentially later this year, but then also on a sort of pan-variant vaccine, which I believe you've talked about as well?
Yes, I think people and what the medical profession needs, what health authorities need, is a version of the vaccine that, first of all, lasts quite a bit. So we can't have vaccines every 5-6 months. We need to be able to move as soon as possible to a situation that an annual revaccination will do the job. And so we are working on new versions that will try to provide this annual protection. But also we know that the virus mutates. So we are working on new versions that will be able to protect not only against the old viruses, but the old variants, but also against Omicron. So we are not making a vaccine that it is specific to Omicron. We are making a vaccine that covers Omicron and all the other variants. And there are so much trials that are going right now, and a lot of them will start reading by the end of the month, and then much more next month. So we will have a lot of data next month, but I am optimistic from the preclinical data, but the clinical data will demonstrate that we can achieve the goal, which is to cover both the old and the new variants, all variants known so far.